Super excited about this. It's been a while. It's coming. I mean, we've been working together for a long time. It started off during the pandemic. You sending me a box of goodies and a handwritten note. And I'm like, who is this guy? And it's been a journey getting to know you, getting to know all the products, but more, not the products themselves is what's behind it. It's your commitment, your drive, who you are as a person. That's really the story. And the products are just an outcome of that story. I wanted to sync us up here a little.
Let's do it.
From essential oil wizardry, positive transmission. We've already done heart. And I just believe in the power, the power of light, the power of smell, terpenes.
Olfactory nerve is the most primal, oldest nerve in the body.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? Most people don't know is olfactory nerve. The organs have the highest density of olfactory nerve cells in the body. So let's sync ourselves up. Let's put our right leg over, right arm underneath, left armpit, left arm on top, head to the right, body to the left, and breathe in.
Thank you.
Here we are.
Yes.
Feel the bubble around us now. So, Justin, I got to know you, by you reaching out, and a little bit about your story. Like, let's go back to how you got here. What is the story? What makes you you?
Yeah, so I was an athlete that got injured early on, and then I had some health challenges early on, and that brought me into the alternative medicine space. And I was always looking at what direction to go in career-wise. I read an article about a guy named Dean Brittingham making athletes better athletes. And he was at a Scripps clinic in La Jolla, and I was working in La Jolla at that time and in commercial real estate. And I quit my job, and I said, I read the article, and I'm like, this is what I want to do. I just showed up his door. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. No, this is it. I want to facilitate making athletes better athletes. And so he's like, okay, show up. So quit my job, showed up, and we started athleticism.com almost 30 years ago. And he passed on, and I took over the business and have kept adding new components to it. And it was first a run, jump, speed coordination program, ambidexterity, whole body, whole brain, stretching systems. We had kettlebell. We had David Weck, like the founder of the Bosu ball. And Steve Cotter found one of the first guys to bring kettlebells in the US, all in our gym. So we had this powerhouse coordination sports performance program that I ended up bringing in all these other components, like just all the fascia stuff that you're doing and so much more. Muscle testing, all the applied kinesiology work, all the nerve resets stuff and light therapy and just adding more to it and nutrition side of it. So athleticism.com has evolved in almost 30 years into probably one of the most robust sports performance programs, but I don't even focus on that anymore. Our focus is on the products. And what happened was one of our strong professional athletes came in.
Well, and that's actually,
Yeah.
at a point. I mean, this isn't just like a lot of people that train at gyms. I mean, you work with some of the best athletes on the planet, right?
Yeah. We've worked with everyone from Charger Pro Bowlers to junior national figure skaters to PGA Champions Tour PGA golfers. We're in Manhattan Beach right now. I've worked on the WSL, the World Surf League. I've traveled with O'Neill surf team. Jordy Smith, number 2 in the world athlete, multiple times. He was going against the number 1 greatest of all time, Kelly Slater. So he hadn't broken that threshold when I was working with him for multiple years. And then women's side as well, Courtney Conlog, 2-time number 2. I mean, these are top pros, and PGA Champions Tour, golf, surfing, volleyball. Matt Furbringer, his home here, his name's on the Manhattan Beach Pier. I mean, the list goes on and on as far as the pros we've worked with. So it's, and continues.
That's important, because I think that in order for people to get to know you, they have to know the level at which you've operated at.
Yeah.
Because that's, I mean, you've been able to work with the top athletes in the world, and you've been able to look at what makes athletes work, and you know, where they break down and what makes them perform. And that's the foundation of where all this came from, really.
Definitely, definitely. It was all understanding kinesiology, how the body moved in space, and then it's evolved into me understanding how we're one with our environment and nature, and how the body interplays with nature. And so what the next story was, one of our strongest, fittest guys came in wearing a smartwatch. And he said, Justin, I have pain in my wrist. And I said, well, where? He pointed right to where the watch was. And I said, well, hey, that's radiation directly on you. And that was about the time the Fitbits were being recalled. Sure. So I said, take the radiation off your wrist. So he takes it off, the watch off, and the pain goes away.
Right away.
Right away, pain went away. And the arm functioned slowly, it took a little time to restore it, but the pain went away instantly. And that was the moment where I said, hey, I need to look at EMFs, electromagnetic fields, the difference between the non-native ones and how we're made. We're electromagnetic beings, and
Sure.
and how we're one with nature, and how this non-native ones impact us. And that's what has brought us to our EMFRocks.com and our grounding bags, and now we're one of the industry leaders in natural EMF protection through hand mined crystals that are so similar to our body. They have moisture content, over 70%, just like we do, and then they have electromagnetic field as well. And you know, they're sold through doctor clinics like all around the world.
So we'll dive into that, because I mean, that's changed the way I've thought about it too. And but you went on this journey. You're an athlete. You work to help athletes perform, and then you you started to notice that basically take away the reasons why they weren't performing is the best way to say it, right?
Right.
And this is something that I've been working on for a long time, because the current theory for performance is like, if you have a bathtub and performance is the water, it's like turn on more water. Mm-hmm. And at some point, exactly, it makes sense to just plug the hole. Like, why are we losing the performance or the ability to perform? And that's essentially what you're doing, is you're plugging the hole. Assuming that we didn't have any of these things, athletes would be better today.
Right. You're only as strong as your weakest link, for sure. And the easiest way to get someone healthier or better is to clear the stressor that's impeding their progress.
So let's take a look at a couple different things. First of all, the hot topic obviously right now is Wi-Fi, dirty electricity. These are things, I mean, people would know Wi-Fi, but they're not always thinking dirty electricity. And since we work with fascia, and fascia is important, I know you believe in that. You've been doing fascial maneuvers for a long time. You share them everywhere around the world. Why is Wi-Fi and the impact on fascia? What's the connection there? Like, what is it doing to fascia specifically?
Specifically, it's a one-directional waveform. So let's take it back a step and talk about the resonance of it, and how our body is built on scalar waves. We're built on unpolarized waveforms that distribute equally in every direction. Non-native waveforms like electricity, dirty electricity, Wi-Fi, they're all one-directional waveforms, or they won't work.
So native and non-native. Maybe let's break that down, because that's what I learned from you.
Right.
You used a pebble in an ocean.
Yeah, pebble in a pond.
So what is native and non-native first?
So native ones are the ones are cosmic waveforms that we're built on, and they're called scalar waves. Is a framework of them. They're unpolarized waves that distribute equally in every direction. Prime examples of it would be our biofield.
Yeah.
It goes out about 6 to 8 feet in every direction. It's not a straight line.
It's a circle.
Yes.
Like dropping a water in a pond.
Right.
It ripples out.
Right. When you drop a pebble in a pond,
sorry,
It
pebble.
doesn't, or a rock, what have you, it doesn't go in a straight line to the right. Why does it go equally and out in every direction?
So basically what we're saying is scalar waves, we're built, the frequency that resonates us is these round frequencies that go
Right.
up. Okay,
They're
that's
unpolarized.
native.
That's native.
Okay, and
It's just like the Schumann resonance. You're not in it, the healing pulse of Earth right here, and then out of it, a step over to the right. It's a resonance
that radiates.
radiate all around you.
So then, and that's native. So non-native is
Non-native are man-made waveforms that are one directional. They're manufactured to be one directional. So, excuse me, what's an example of that? Well, it would be a cell tower panel. Why do they have panels facing every direction? Because they can only broadcast a frequency one directionally. Now, the more they amp it up, they're learning to bend it about 30 degrees, but that's all. They can only go in a straight line.
so basically I'm emitting a round circular wave.
Yes.
That's the normal human frequency. The Earth emits a round wave. So when I take a cell phone, I'm creating a straight wave that cuts my round wave.
Right.
And it goes right to the tower.
Yes.
Okay. And then, and that's also the same thing for electricity, like dirty electricity.
Yes, same.
Yeah.
Across the board. They're just faster speeds of a wave per second or a wave per cycle.
Okay, and so why is it disruptive to us? And so I have a round wave,
Yes.
and then I have a straight wave coming through to me. And that's a cell phone, a wireless device. It's an iPhone watch. It's a
All smart devices.
All smart devices. Okay,
Yeah.
so what does that do to our human biology?
So what happens is Bruce Lipton will say, your chemistry of your body is indicative of your energy, your chi, your biofield. You can't have chemistry without energy. So if something in our environment is disrupting that energy field, our chemistry will be affected in an array of different ways. The first way is Dr. Martin Pall recognized that there's a cellular breakdown with the voltage-gated calcium channels. So those are four big words that your calcium channels open up and they let positive calcium into a negative cell, which in turn cause tremendous cell and DNA damage. So the vibration causes the secondary effect on our cells. So you have cell and DNA damage, and what we're seeing, and you've highlighted it more than anyone in the health space, is we're seeing an epidemic of chronic dehydration of our fascia.
So fair enough. So that simply what we're saying is, like, let's say the most common Wi-Fi wave is 2.4 gigahertz.
Yes.
So 2.4 gigahertz technically dehydrates the fascia.
2.45 gigahertz is the lowest bandwidth that broadcasts 4G. So a gigahertz means billions of waves per second or cycle. We sleep at 1 to 8 waves per second. Our athletes are 8 to 12 hertz or waves per second when they're in alpha flow state. And we're in a delta theta REM patterns. We're 1 or below 1 to 8. These are 2.45 billion of a one directional.
Sure.
That's the lowest bandwidth that destructures water. Now, 5G is 60 to 90 billion waves per second. Telecom's allowed to go up to 300 gigahertz, which is 300 billion waves per second. So there's a massive over 10-0 delta of a differential of a one directional waveform. So that affects the biofield, which in turn affects the chemistry of your body.
So so basically for a 5-year-old, what we're saying is you have this natural field that emits around you.
Yes.
When something penetrates that field, it affects the way that the body responds to the environment.
Correct.
And responding to the environment, one of the things that happens is our fascia gets dehydrated. And when our fascia is dehydrated, it starts to restrict movement. It reduces the energy in the body. It causes stress, anxiety, because when we're dehydrated, the body's tight, we fire more adrenaline. So basically, these are all of the components. And this makes sense because if you look at it, mostly Wi-Fi, if you look at Wi-Fi, let's say 30 years ago, there was virtually little Wi-Fi in the homes. And most homes are still hardwired. And in the last 30 years, human beings that used to be 70% water, today are medically 60% water. Conversely, as we've decreased 10% water, we've increased every disease known to mankind.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, I mean, that's wild. And then furthermore, as you know by touching me, I'm like 80% water.
Yeah.
which is where we were 75 years ago before the chemicals. So these are the things that are building up on people. And without, I mean, there's lots of places that people can go, and you have resources that people can learn about this. But for the most part, I honestly, most people don't need to know about it. They just need to know the general what it's doing, and then what they can do about it.
So yeah, so let me dive more into the challenges with it, because it's a massive list. It's almost every major health challenge from there.
Sure.
So the big thing, for me, well, let me start with level 1, 2, and 3, and then I want to get to the main equation. Level 1 is all cognitive challenges: lack of focus, memory, anxiety, fatigue, stress, headaches,
Sleep issues.
lack of sleep, which is our grounding bags help you sleep up to 60% deeper just by creating that coherence in your environment from nature's resonance. So cognitive is the first. Level 2 would be non-trauma concussion symptoms that we saw in the Havana cohort, which was the first attack of U.S. Embassy workers on foreign soil with microwaves. And
So
it's
most people wouldn't know that. What is?
yeah, the Havana cohort. They actually targeted embassy workers with microwave radiation. They had non-trauma concussion symptoms, so nausea. They had seizures, bloody noses, rashes on the skin.
And that was basically sending. It was a 5G signal.
It was a millimeter or microwave, which
So
is
they
millimeter
just
spectrum.
basically sent a signal into a building.
Yeah, into a building and targeted people.
And then targeted people, and the people all started having symptoms.
Yeah, and their pets did, and they were hospitalized. It was on 60 Minutes multiple times.
Yeah, and when was that again?
That was several years ago.
Yeah, so this and knowing that this happens, like this is something that is real. It has happened. It's being actually used as weaponry.
Yeah, it's a directed weapon.
Yeah, directed energy weapon.
Yes, and then so from there you go into the bigs: cancer, suicide, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, which is now type 3 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and then the biggest one, which I want to get to, is infertility. So if anyone takes anything away from this, non-native EMFs equal radiation, which equals sterility.
Yeah, and basically that is. And now there's also a way, technologically, to deliver a signal that doesn't impact us, and that technology is currently not being used in the market, but it is having a resurgence because it was brought out during Tesla's time, and so I believe that's where we're going.
Right.
Because people are going, okay, well, like literally. In Canada, we were talking about it yesterday. Sterility or miscarriages, basically, can't conceive, is right now it was upwards of 80%, and we can blame it on vaccines and all that stuff, but it's a combination. It's death by 1,000 cuts, because I know people have vaccines that live healthy lives that are still other ways that are still okay. Right. So, but it's a compounding series of things.
Definitely, no question about it. And I will double down and say the number one stressor right now on the body is non-native radiation. We've never ever radiated us and our entire planet at the level we're doing it. And we have 140 years of research of it, because in 1889 is the first time we put electricity in our homes. They called the flu before that. They called it influenza, because it was under the influence of the stars, the cosmic shifts, atmospheric pressure shifts. So when there was a solar flare, cosmic shift, full moon, whatever cosmic shift, it disrupts our REM patterns and our bodies would adapt.
It's funny, I know a lot of stuff, but I didn't know that that's why it was called influenza, and that makes so much sense following astrology. My goodness, I learn something every time I talk to you.
So that, and from then on, every major electrification of our electromagnetic blanket of an atmosphere from non-native waveforms. In 1918, during the Spanish flu, they broadcasted radio waves for the first time. And then World War II, radar, Hong Kong flu, were satellites in the Van Allen belt, and now 5G. So we're seeing what we were alluding to is that when you pollute our environment, which is our air, which is ether, plasma, our chemistry of our bodies adapt to it at the best way we're capable.
And now the adaptation or maladaptation is what it is.
Right.
That's where all the diseases come from. And disease is the body's not at ease. And if the body's not at ease long enough, we'll be able to eventually measure it and then call it something.
Yeah.
Because it starts off with my field is off. I don't feel right.
Right.
I'm emotionally disturbed. That emotional disturbance causes a chemical reaction in my body, which is like depression, anger, sadness, fear, shame, guilt. And then from there, I don't process it. So now I'm in a non-native way. I'm actually expressing an emotion that's not related to my environment.
Right.
And then over time, that emotion or that frequency that's held starts to cause a disruption in the body, which then causes a diagnosable.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not a boogeyman virus flying around to kill everyone. It's just not. So we really have to unlearn on what industries have told us about health. And that was a big part about last night.
Last night we were with Dr. Brian Artist. He was talking about venoms and poisons and how they're affecting the health symptoms. And almost every disease that we can, or viral that we can talk about, is actually, no, not almost, 100% of them are related. I mean, that's a whole other conversation.
Definitely.
But I want to ask you the bigger question. So, if I'm in nature eating organic and I'm getting the positive electrons from my body and I'm treating my body with things like nicotine and other things that are healthy for me. So basically, my native frequency is stronger.
Right.
So then, if my native frequency is stronger, then what I hear you saying is that even these things that are hurting us, they start to go away. Or at least I have a better defense against them.
You're going to have a better defense. And there's a cool thing about physics. You can convert a one-directional waveform. So I don't want everyone to walk away in a fear mode, because that could set you off into a tailspin the other way. What I want you to know is that when we build our life force up, we can, through intent, we can convert a one-directional waveform into something that's actually beneficial for us. The grounding bags help us do that when we don't have the wizardry developed, because most people don't do breath work all day and fascia maneuvers all day to get there. We're doing a lot of other things throughout the day. So the more we can start incorporating those, and the quicker we'll get that health and vitality up. But there's products, all these product supplements will help support that process of getting you to have your life force strong enough to where it's not going to really affect you.
So okay, let's talk about this. Okay, so one of the things is to want some water?
I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah. One of these things is to would say harmonize the waves.
I don't like that word. I like creating a coherence better.
Coherence.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. And actually, we have somebody working with out of Czech Republic that has a coherence device.
Oh, cool.
Which is actually brings coherence. First time I've ever heard that, because everything is harmonizing. So the idea is predominantly if I sleep well, if my general presence and my general day, I can block these waves, my body just gains enough strength to deal with it when I'm not there.
Yeah, so think about the cumulative effect. If you could get into a deeper sleep at least 2% per night cumulatively, how much is that going to benefit someone's endocrine system?
Yeah.
So what if your sleep's disrupted up to 60%, which is what we're seeing the people that are EMF sensitive are, and you could get 60% improvement on your sleep cumulatively?
Well, so
that's what the grounding bags will do
I've
for
noticed. So I put one. I always have two with me. I put one at the corner. I always feel it out. I test it out, muscle test it out, or tune in, I guess. And I put usually it's one in one corner and one in the other corner. It seems to always.
Okay.
It seems to work that way for me, but it's against the bed, and it's against the actual frame of the bed. That's what I learned from you.
Have you tested putting them together to see if they're stronger together?
I've had a limited bag, so I'm going to get some more bags.
We'll get you more bags.
Okay,
but
so
yeah, test them together, because what we found is the cumulative effect of them, when you have more of the mass of the mind together, more of these crystals together, they're exponentially stronger. If we create a perimeter,
Yes.
they're fantastic,
Fair enough.
but together they make it way more powerful.
It's just like humans.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean that's what it is. So this is what the bag looks like. Okay, so tell me a little bit about. First of all, we've got a bag, and then we've got it's inside of this, which is
a static bag.
static
so
bag.
we have.
And then we have real crystals which have water in them, very much like the human body.
Yes. So this is an outer cloth. It's a muslin bag. It's decorative,
Yeah.
and you use the grounding bag as is. So you keep it sealed, use it as is. There's no need to open this ever, other than to see what's inside if you wanted to look.
So when you sent them to me, I didn't quite get it.
Yeah.
And the first one, I opened it up, and I'm like, was I supposed to do? So I actually opened up there.
Well, it's wrapped in a bow, so everyone wants to see what it looks like. When something comes in a bow, you want to unwrap it, but intuitively. But we want to keep it sealed, and this is why no one's seen these beautiful pink Tesla crystals before. They're colloidal crystals, because when they would mine them, they would turn to dust. They would oxidize once they hit the air. But they've been compressed from an underground water source, so they have over 70% moisture, about 74 from dowsing tests, 74% moisture content in them.
So that's why these
massive.
ones. That's why these ones. It's not like having a crystal. Like people have crystals that take signals.
Shungite, amethyst, black tourmaline. Those are all known crystals that have magnetic properties to it. They have maybe that they're less than 5% moisture on them. That's why you can display them and they look so beautiful. When you have over 70% moisture, you can't display them. This is a softer rock. It'll turn to dust and oxidize. So we have
that's why it's in the
we
seal
hot
bag.
seal this.
Yeah.
We double seal it in a static bag. Excuse me, because the static bag actually amplifies it. So frequencies go in and out of this, but when you put a negative ionic charge of the Earth's resonance in it, it amplifies it. When you put a polarizing, and we sell these separately, labeled separately as a Faraday bag, when you put a cell phone in it, it squashes a polarizing one directional waveform, positive charge, to safe levels.
And it actually, your cell phone still works inside there.
They still will ring.
Yeah, they'll still ring, but it's changed. So then that's a little bit of the confusing part, and I want to talk about. So we've got these crystals.
Yeah.
So tell me, because one of the confusion is, okay, I'm drawing this. This is drawing a signal. So how does it actually work with the signal?
Well, it's similar to thermodynamics and piezoelectric effect. So
Okay.
the effect of the piezoelectric effect is it's going to meet and over counter a frequency coming at you.
Right.
So it's going to convert those one directional waveforms into something our bodies accept. Naturally innate healing potential of nature.
So you got this round. You got these round waveforms coming out. You've got this or they got this one directional one coming in from a cell phone.
Right.
So that's actually it's taking that one directional wave and it's absorbing it without diminishing the signal.
Without diminishing, it actually cleans up the signal. So if telecom would ever get on board with me and want cleaner signals, they would use these to clean up their signals.
So technically putting a wet crystal inside of a case inside of a phone.
Yeah.
And then that wouldn't do that.
It wouldn't do it.
Okay.
You would have cleaner signals and you wouldn't have it affecting people's health. But they don't want to acknowledge that radiation affects people's health.
Well, yeah, for obvious reasons, because once you publish the study and acknowledge it, then
Right.
there's the lawsuits. So could we make a case? Can we make a case with a wet crystal case?
So the challenge is these are about 1 pound of crystals. Excuse me, they're hand mined, so they have to be in solid form. If I break down this form, when they lose their form, they lose their function for EMF protection.
Okay.
So it's the way. This is the only way we can deploy it. The smallest amount we can deploy is the mini grounding bag, which I carry in my pocket everywhere I go, and I put my phone on the outside of it. That's 2 to 3 ounces about. This is about 1 pound. So that's a minimum amount.
This would be good enough for the phone that I'm carrying.
That's for one person for the phone.
Does that work if I'm walking around and I have my backpack and stuff like that? I have it on my back and I have my phone out here?
Yes.
Okay.
It's one person will clear your biofield.
Okay. So, so that makes a little bit of sense. So for me, it was always the confusing, well, if I'm drawing it all in, and like how is that clean? So basically what it's doing is it's cleaning the signal. So it's making that signal native.
Right.
Is that what you said?
Well said.
Okay.
It's making it so it's unpolarized. It's unpolarized, so it distributes equally. So it ends up being beneficial or positive, negative, and then you have neutral. It would be more of a neutral signal, or sometimes even beneficial for you.
So let's talk about a couple things. One of the topics we've talked about before is the new fad, which is electric cars.
Ooh, goodness.
Okay, so tell me, I'm gonna go off on a statement and say that infertility is massively being caused by electric vehicles.
Yes.
Okay, so and for those of you that are out there that have electric vehicles and trying to get pregnant and not getting pregnant, that's the first thing you want to take off.
Definitely.
So what would you do? Okay, a lot of people have electric vehicles. We're probably not going to go away from those for a while. So what is the remedy in the electric vehicle?
Yeah, I was just at CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas. There's like a couple 100,000 people. They had the biggest auditorium or convention room dedicated to electric vehicles for the future. It's a fad for me. It's literally a fad. There's no infrastructure to support it.
I think it's gonna. I honestly think that we're moving away. We're gonna move into aerials before we. I think that the world's going in that direction. We're gonna move into aerials, but irrespective, I have an electric car.
Yeah.
I've invested in it. I'm listening to this podcast. I realize that as a male, I don't get it up as much. My testosterone is down. My hormones are mixed. As a female, I'm now looking at bioidentical hormones, trying to get pregnant. I can't do so. A lot of it actually is contained because being an electric car is like being technically in a microwave.
Yeah, it is.
So what do I do?
Yeah, so it will lower your testosterone at least 18%. So let's just get that across the board.
And there's no question about that.
Yeah.
That is scientific. That is
18%, and that was off of a colleague doing blood work on military special forces. So young, healthy demographic saw 18% lower testosterone, which is huge.
Right off the bat. So what do I do?
So what you want to do is avoid driving them, number one.
Okay, but I'm not.
Yeah, but if you're obsessed with the car, the manufacturer, what have you, which a lot of people are, then you want to have 7 grounding bags behind the driver's seat to create the coherence. But I like telling the story about the EMFs in them because I don't know if everyone understands that they're using coal, cadmium, all these precious minerals to mine it. The second you're accelerating, decelerating, accelerating from 10 to 20, 20 to 80 miles an hour, reversing, charging, you're getting static electricity from the battery. So the reason you need so many grounding bags is because the discharge, it's all dirty electricity. They're giving you're sitting on a massive battery that's giving you the amount of usage you're requesting. There is going to be static in that differential. If you have the light switch all the way on, there's not going to be as much static, and if you have a ground. If you have a dim switch that's in the middle range, there's going to be a lot of static, and you can get a Stetzer electric meter and plug it in. So that's what we've done. We plugged it in the new Teslas, seeing that the dirty electricity is over 1,200 amps to volts, which is, it should be 100 or less.
Okay, and so when you put these in, it brings it down to 100 or less. 7.
No, it doesn't change the reading of a meter. Oh. It creates coherence. We look at how the body responds.
How the body responds.
We're not changing measurements of technology.
Fair enough.
Because we're not a blocking product.
Yeah, and the blocking products are changing the method. Because that's the other part is there's a lot of, I hear you and I agree. There's the blocking products which are not actually doing what they say. Because they are blocking something, but it's creating another problem.
Right, yeah. So you can't live in I like Dr. Mercola's book, EMF'd, but his product is a Faraday tent to sleep in. You can't live in a Faraday tent. You can't sleep in If I brought a Faraday tent home to my wife and said, honey, we're sleeping in it. It's going to protect us. She'd be like, no, you are. You're out with the dog. Get out of here. It's just not how we coexist with this. We want the frequencies in us. We want the resonance on us. We're electromagnetic beings. We gotta connect to nature's resonance, but we develop usage and proximity protocols, and then we create coherence when we're using these devices.
So, okay, so basically, for those who have electric vehicles, 7 of those. Now, in your bed, in your bedroom, in your bed, because you spend time in your car traveling, a lot of people, especially if you're buying an electric vehicle, quite often they're like, around here, it's a couple hours a day. Yeah. And then you spend, 8 hours a day in your room or thereabouts. So if we take care of your transportation, which you can, your sleep, then we're covering a lot. We're giving the body a fighting chance. So how many bags in the bed usually?
At least 1 grounding bag on your bed, as long as it's touching your bed. I like it at the head of the bed. It can be under it. Just make sure it's touching it. Between a mattress and headboard, over someone's shoulder, between a couple would be ideal. At least 1 will create allow you to get into the deeper sleep of up to 60% deeper.
So we came here and I got into the bed. When I came here, first of all, it feels a little frantic. The very lower floor of this place is really grounding. You walk in, you can feel it. Yeah. But the room that I was in wasn't that way. And just laying on the bed, I just took and I put it right behind the mattress up against the frame.
Right.
And instantaneously you can feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that powerful. And people like us that are muscle testers and have that intuition and can feel energy really well, the effect is instant. Yeah. And what I want to also share is there's a succussion technique that I recommend for everybody. Because if someone is really EMF sensitive, what that means is that they're toxic and they have toxicity stuck in their biofield.
Yeah. So the ones that's part of it. Like I used to be super EMF sensitive. Today, I can go through it, I feel it, but it doesn't affect me.
Right, and that's because you're hydrated, your vitality's up.
I am the crystal.
You are the crystal, yeah.
But there being said, I use the bags because I don't need to be using all of my energy to convert these non-native waves. Right,
because you're still a doer. You're doing a lot of other things. So anyhow, we can do tapping. The eyes, teeth, thymus, intestines are the 4 areas that get decharged. You can just tap on the bag, cover each of those areas for about 10 to 15 seconds, and that'll clear it. Do it with this.
Yeah, okay.
Because this is the
I'm
end product.
gonna put it right here.
Yeah, and tap on the bag. And have the intent, since over there, just have the intent of your intestines. My intestines were off this morning, so I'm going to give mine a charge back. And you'll see energy move, burping, what have you, yawning. So I felt mine shift.
I can feel it in my lungs. So. And
then thymus. And we're wearing a wireless mic, so these are great to have with us right here. Yeah. And this is moving a lot of energy.
I wear my wireless mic a lot.
Yeah. And then teeth. So direct them to your teeth, which is huge for you right now. Clearing just any stuff in there.
Oh, I feel actually it's funny because I have forgotten about this. I know that you talked to me about it. I've forgotten about it. I'm gonna start doing this.
And then the eyes. So once you do that, put 5.
Why the tapping?
The tapping is like shaking the product up. It's a succussion technique. It's activating
so you're
the
actually
properties.
Activating the crystal.
Yeah, you're like shaking the bag. You're activating it and saying, hey, direct it to these areas. That's what it does.
I can feel it. I can feel it right now. I can feel it in my shoulders, my mid-shoulders, my back.
You're flushing and clearing, thank you. You're flushing and clearing in a big way. And so I was tapping too, so I wasn't tuning into you, but I was dumping and it might have been you dumping as well. Yeah. So you can feel that energy move. Yeah. Once you clear that, then you at least 1 on the bed, 5 together, 5 grounding bags together in the floor of your home will clear about 2,000 square feet. And
so you just put them somewhere in the home?
Somewhere centrally located on the floor of your home. And that's where most of the pipes will run through the floor. So if you can clear that vibration throughout your home, you get coherence, not only through the vibration of the pipes, but wireless signals that emit. So I'm not a fan of plug-in devices like grounding sheets and such, because you're modifying and you're going in through something that's man-made. So nature does it best. So we get get the grounding effect with the crystals. We get the coherence with wireless. You can recharge your body battery. So basically, it's so much more versatile than some of the other products. But 5 together will clear 2,000 square feet, 7 if someone has solar on their home, and then 7 behind the driver's seat of an electric car. And then also, a desk is really important to clear, because if you're on tech all day, I recommend people hardwiring their technology.
Yeah.
But you still have wireless. People like me, I'll hardwire my phone, but not. I'll hardwire my computer, but not my phone.
It's impossible. In my current state, that's impossible.
Right. So
putting extra ones on the desk.
Put one on the desk or on your chair, and that's going to allow you.
When you sit together,
so much energy.
Same area or touching? Does it matter?
Well, when you're clearing a bed, a desk, or a car seat, a combustion engine car seat, just as long as at least one is touching those areas that you're touching, you're going to be cleared. When there's more stressors, like a massive battery of an electric vehicle, you need more grounding bags touching each other. Touching you.
So I'm an average person. I'm looking at this. I haven't really thought too much about it. I'm not sensitive enough to know. Is there things that I would look for to know that they're working for me? Like I go and I buy 10 of these today.
Sleep is going to be your biggest indicator.
Yeah, so your sleep changes.
Your sleep will dramatically change. You'll have kids that will sleep in. They'll start to keep sleeping. You'll see that in a big way. People that are sensitive and they go through the tapping, you won't have sensitive eyes anymore. Your eyes will clear. Your energy, vitality will go up about 10%. Test shows that circulation will improve up to 52%, which is massive. Dr. Berlando, Alphavetic, which I still want to get you guys together, he did a waveform test, which is really cool. He has dual impedance antennas that measure waveforms, your own biofield. The grounding bags clinically passively treated up to 91% of the markers that are from your biofield being affected from radiation. That's significant. He's never seen a product clear up to 91% of somebody passively.
And as far as I know, you're the only one in the world doing this.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of EMF products out there.
But they're modified.
They're modifying it, yeah.
Yeah.
And let's take that on. Like, what's the danger of modifying it, or what's the downfall?
So I look at eating GMO food as not a great thing. Would you agree?
Yeah, of course.
Because it's modified.
Yeah.
So these other companies are modifying a resonance, and they're using it and they're embedding it in a sticker, a pendant, a metal plate, and they're using it, or copper, whatever, they're using it to overpower the other modified resonances. To me, that's like eating GMO food.
Okay.
Even though some of them are using scalar waves, which are unpolarized waves, they're manufacturing good waves, it's a futile effort, and nobody does, for EMF protection, it's a futile effort. Nobody does it better than nature for EMF protection. When you use a Rife machine that has scalar waves, or all these other technology, scalar waves or scalar frequencies, when you use those short term on your body for certain situations, and you're getting a half hour, hour treatment, what have you, 90-minute treatment on a beam ray, what have you, that's going to be beneficial for you. But you can't use them and expect any bit of quality result for EMF protection. It's just, they get overrun, and nobody does it better than nature.
So for me, practically, I usually have a backpack that I carry, because I carry my stuff in there, or my assistant does. If I have one in my backpack and I just have an extra one here, that's actually gonna get me
That's a
around.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you technically, when you're on the go, you only need the mini grounding bag in your pocket, purse, or backpack.
Yeah, but I like to do everything.
And if you want to, if you want to go next level, and the people that are EMF sensitive, they'll carry one or two. I fly with 3. I like traveling with 3 in my computer bag. So
let's talk about that. So when we do travel, I want people to know, because it was a question I had. I just had you to today, because I'm like, I check them because I don't want to have the issue, but I would rather take them on the plane. So if taking on the plane, you take out the crystals out of the bag, out of the 2 bags, and you place it in the And when they ask, these are crystals. Because if they open it, I mean, they'll still work, but they're going to lose their hydration.
Definitely. You take this inner brown bag out. You keep this sealed. This is hot sealed. You never want to open this one. You place it in its own tray, and because then your other stuff will go through, and if they do test it, they're only going to test this, not all your other stuff. And you say, I have crystals. You have to yell it. They're not always the sharpest tools. You have to tell them, excuse me, what you have. And then they'll look at it because they can see the windows face up, and they'll go, oh, those are crystals, and they'll let you go through. Yeah. In the US, you're allowed to travel with minerals. When I came to visit Human Garage and you in Cancun, I couldn't carry this on the airplane. I had to check it. They wouldn't let you carry on minerals.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so I mean, I'm gonna test that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because I like to test things and test what the tolerance is. You know, because I even travel with my water. I was telling you that for travel, I carry hydrogen water. I put it in my own flask, and I also put it in here. I do one flask and that when I travel, and it's medical water. Sometimes they ask what I have. I'm gonna get a prescription too because it's funny. When I'm in foreign countries or in Latin American countries, they like, where's your prescription? But in other countries, they're already used to it. And then what I have in Canada, they stopped. So I say there's medicine in my water.
Cool.
And I'm able to take my water on the plane.
There you go.
It makes a massive difference.
It's a huge difference because what we're seeing when I mention diabetes, we have diabetics that jump in an airplane, their glucose will spike 200 points because the EMFs you're contained in a capsule, it spikes your cortisol, and then your glucose just goes out of control. For someone that's EMF sensitive, or even not, we're walking soon to be diabetics because we keep spiking our insulin because this is this toxic stressor environment. So we gotta get the right minerals, we gotta keep the fascia hydrated, and we gotta get the right oils. And as you know, I'm soon to be naturopathic doctor. Part of hydration is oils in naturopathy medicine. It's part of the hydration equation. So we got to get the black cumin seed oils, the lean oil, or our MCT oil, like different plant oils back in your system to help lubricate and hydrate and buffer those glucose spikings with the minerals.
Yeah, it's been it is, and by the way, congratulations on your
Thank you.
When are you done?
2 months.
2 months? Wow, what a journey, right?
Yes, it is. It's fantastic. And so now to go from performance coach to naturopath, I'm so excited, and it's such my lane, and the information on that, it's so relevant, and just really excited to help.
I like doing it that way because then I can always come to smart people like you and ask all the questions. No, it has been a journey. It's really exciting. People can now just from a reference standpoint, we'll have these in our store. You're one of our most important partners. We've been working with you a long time. They can buy them from the store. We have a code that they can get. They'll be able to get this from watching this podcast. And on the page, the code, the background, some of the science behind it's going to be there that they can read. And if they have questions, can they reach out and talk to you?
Of course. We have incredible customer support. info@emfrocks.com. We'll answer any of your questions thoroughly. And then if you really want to talk to someone, they'll give you a number to talk. But the customer support is fantastic. They're really ready to go. Just go through the tapping protocols, and you can recharge them every 1 to 4 months by putting them outside in the lawn in the shade. And if it's a cold climate, wait 4 months and then reground them later on.
Oh, so you actually put them outside?
Put them outside on the lawn, in the shade. Remember, you want to keep them out of extreme heat.
What about like in the moon or something like that? Did that work?
You can, but just as long as they're in the shade outside and the
take
ground.
them out of the, or leave them?
No, you just use it as is always, and just leave it in the bag and put it on the ground directly in the shade for 10 to 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. Once every 1 to 4 months. The mini grounding bags, you have to do it more often because they don't have as much resonance in them as a 1 pound. So maybe every 1 to 2 weeks, put those on the ground for a few minutes and that'll re-clear them. They'll last 2 to 3 years and then you have to replenish them. When the crystals turn really white, and oxidize, you can see they're really pink.
Yeah.
So you see how beautiful pink they are?
Yeah.
When they turn fully white, they'll oxidize. They no longer are pink, and then they're no longer effective for EMF protection. So when they lose their color and their form or function, they'll lose their function.
Cool.
So color or form, they lose their function. But when they're in this type of a climate here, they'll last about 2 to 3 years.
And I think it's worth mentioning that these are hand-mined.
Hand-mined. There's nothing manufactured in them.
Yeah.
We
and
preserve them.
that actually is important to the whole process. Right?
It's important. It's so important because we're not using heavy equipment. We're preserving the crystals in their purest state, sealing them, and then deploying them directly to you. So this is stunning. This is nature's healing potential in a bag. This is the Schumann resonance in a bag that you can bring into your home to create that coherence. There's nothing else like it out there. It's absolutely unbelievable resonance that facilitates healing.
So for personal questions, so a bunch of our team has bags. So we all have bags, we have them at our beds in a home like this when we're staying. Is it better to bring them all together and put them in one spot, or better to have them?
It's better to have one on each bed.
Yeah.
And then an additional 5 separately to clear 2,000 square feet.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's the next step.
That's the next step.
Yeah.
Make sure everyone has one on their bed, and then compile. And these are big homes, so these are well over 2,000 square feet. So maybe we'll get you 7 to 10, for the size of home.
Yeah, and then
because
what we do is we ship everything. We have a shipping place. We ship it to the
with
homes.
it.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome, Justin. I mean, I learn every time I talk to you. It's taken me a minute to understand this, and I'm glad we had the chance today to go through these questions, because really these are all my questions, and they're the ones that I had troubles answering to people.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the time and energy that you've got into figuring this out and deploying this in the world. And I do agree with you. If we just, everybody's trying to fix the human body or experience, and if we just take away some of what's destroying it, because naturally we are healthy and naturally we do heal. If we just take away some of the things that are destroying it, then we literally have a better life.
Definitely. Yes, Gary. I mean, when you can open up the fascia through Human Garage's fascia maneuvers, I mean, what you've created is absolutely remarkable. I've never seen anything like it in all my years of working with athletes.
I like to say I didn't create it, though.
Well, you're bringing it. You and Jason have brought it to the forefront. Yeah. So it's information that you get credit, and I want you to own that credit, because that's part of owning your power, and you're the one that's sharing this. You're creating this whole movement for everyone to self-heal for free, and just breathe and learn how the body's a pressured system, and the fascia gets stronger for performance-wise when you can pressurize it and breathe. It just does. And we were talking performance-wise. For me, I've gotten faster in a pool, which is probably a 1/10 of a second in a pool is tough to gain, speed on. I'm gaining seconds on my time because my power output, because my fascial connections get so much stronger doing these maneuvers. So this system, when you can clear the fascia, get rid of the glue factory, setting in from the dehydration, get remineralized with your products, use our support systems to create that coherence in your environment, use some of our other brand partners, you're going to see everybody's life start to really change in a significant way.
Yeah.
And now we have the awareness of what's really the challenge. It's our environmental toxins and how it's affecting us. There's no boogeyman virus, so now people don't have to live in fear of all the next agendas that are being pushed. So there's a lot of information, to unpack, and you've introduced it in such a beautiful way. So thank you.
I mean, we have the same thing. It's like, let's just take care of our own bodies, take care of the basics. Let's just reduce the restrictions and the imposed issues on our body. If we do that, the body will just take over.
It will.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
And you're going to perform just at the greatest levels. And the abundance, the performance, the the health and vitality and longevity, those are the benefits are what you'll see with this.
Yeah. Thanks you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
It's been awesome.